everywhere. GBS.
The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu cha JAMII. I'm your host Eunice Mugo. Today on the show we want to talk about after Form 1 selection. What next? What is next for our students? What is the next step for the students, for the parents, for the guardians, for the community at large, also for the teachers? This is what we are discussing today. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. I'm not alone. I have a guest with me who is going to help us to understand better on how to plan what next for our students and what to embrace and what to look out for. I will allow her to introduce herself. Welcome, guest.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Karira. My passion in life is to make our children know before they wish they knew. And I'm glad to be here as we talk about the Form 1s, because I too also went through Form 1.
Thank you so much, Madam Catherine, for honoring our invitation.
You're welcome.
Viewer, join us across all our social media networks. Interact with us. Send us your message, your comments, concern, questions. We will go through them. To start with, Madam Catherine.
Yes, please.
Form 1 selections.
Yeah.
It's here. Students are reporting back to school this week. And a lot of anxiety, excitements, and mixed feelings in between for the parents who have been attached with their children for the longest time, now departing from them, for the students also who are going to maybe be the first time in boarding school, for those who are used to, maybe during primary, a bit easier for them. What are we looking at when you are saying what next for these students and parents?
Thank you, Eunice. Also, there are those ones that are disappointed that their parents cannot afford to take them into boarding school.
Sure.
So we have some that are in pain, some they don't even have the money to go into those schools. And even there's one girl that had been admitted into a boys' school. So there is a lot of mixed reaction. And now here we are, today being the 15th, we ensure that some parents are already on the road taking their children to school.
Sure.
Parents, I want to tell you this, when you get to that school, please do not rush back home. The reason I don't want you to rush back home is because I want you to help your daughter or your son integrate to the system. If you could look for another 2 parents that you think they share the same values with you, that makes you the 3. Then these 2 parents have these 2 children. That means now you have 3 children.
Sure.
Then you be the team leader. Call the others into a meeting and tell them, please, now we have come. This is a new environment. Children, you have come here for only one thing, to be taught. And to learn. Then tell them about the not normal, obviously spoken about, what I would want to call this morning a hot talk. But you have to be very honest, you have to be very open and very truthful with them. Eunice would be lying to ourselves that LGBTQ is not in our schools.
Sure.
It is heavy there. And for any school that still has the tradition of school mothers, where a Form 1 is assigned a Form 2 to take care of them. And then the Form 3, the Form 4. If there is a school mother, you have to tell your girl, your daughter, they have to say no to any advances by the LGBTQ movement. They have to resist, because these other girls or other boys will want to recruit them. Therefore, parents, as I tell you, do not rush back. You tell them about the LGBTQ. You also tell the children to avoid what I normally call RIP. People tell me rest in peace. Yes, they have to be very careful about the relationships they are going to hook themselves into. They have to be very careful about the influence that they're going to encounter in those schools. And they have to be very intentional not to fall into wrong peer pressure. Peer pressure is not always negative. There is positive peer pressure. Anybody that is telling you to book your life on books, anybody that is encouraging you to study hard, that's a good one. And now for we parents, and I thank God that we are parenting when we have the mobile phones. So as you wait in school for your daughter, your son to be admitted, look out for the class teacher. Form a relationship. Sell yourself to them, market to them, and also trust the system. We have taken our children to school. Can we trust that the school will take care of them? I had parents demand that they would want to see the dormitories and the dining hall. And I said that is wishful thinking, because you can imagine if you are admitting 600 students into a school, that means you have 600 parents that have come. It's not possible. Let us just trust the systems that we have. Let us trust that school. And of course, we know there are other schools that are in regions where the water near chumvi. So children will protest. But tell them, yes, water near chumvi, but people have gone through that system even with the chumvi and they have come out straight. So what we need to do is we equip our children. Let the children understand two things. They have come to this school to be shaped and to be sharpened.
Allow me to ask you this,
Yes,
now
please.
that you have mentioned about the LGBTQ, about mothering system when you're integrating to high school.
All right.
Even in our times, I used to hear such things happening, and also having mothers from other schools. If your mother has a boyfriend in another school, that is your father automatically. What is the risk of associating yourself to this kind of group? Because again, I'm looking at it, if I'm a Form 1 student, I'm listening to your advice as my mother. But again, you're not here. How would you know that I have a Form 3 mother who I'm calling mom in school, and also not wanting to be an outcast in the sense of the others have. Now, my friends, maybe the 3 friends that we have made friends during the admission, then they have already conformed to it, being it's something that goes around the school. For me not to be an outcast, what am I supposed to look at so that I'm comfortable being alone and not comfortable just fitting in for everything?
Thank you. I love the word fitting in. None of us was born to fit in. You were born to be outstanding.
Sure.
So out of these 3, you have a right to say no. You have a right to flee. You have a right to report. It is your own life that is going to be damaged.
Sure.
If the 3 of you go in and conform, you are not going to share the emotions. Depression, guiltiness is going to eat you as a person. So what you need to do is be that person who can say no, be the outstanding one. When you find that you have you're going always right with the popular people or with what is popular, know that you're losing yourself. Because what is popular is not always right. And what is right is not always popular. So you'd better be an outcast, instead of conforming to it. The Bible, which I'm holding today, tells me, do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. So you have to make sure that your manners and your morals set a standard for others to emulate.
Sure.
Yes.
On that note, now we are standing out. You are brought up to stand out. And now I'm thinking, saying no, fleeing, and all that. I'll be like, everyone is just, I had concern. I was interacting with students prior to this show today. And we also have, how do I call it? Is it bullying? Whereby if I term myself like I want to be serious in books, now you're a bookie, you're a, those names that they nickname you simply because you're not adjusting to it. I feel like it's bullying, because I already know what I want, and we have agreed with my parents, and I have followed the advice given, depending with the background that I've been brought up with. That is one, being bullied because you're taking your own stand. 2, another concern was when students are going to Form 1, you find a lot of them have excitement and plans, because there are those things that you want to adventure, because you hear your seniors, maybe your cousin, your sister saying, when I was in high school, this and this is what you used to do, this and this is what. No, you're not there simply to learn, you're there for the adventure. How do you now start helping this student to shape from not going to school for adventure, but rather to seek the real value in school?
Thank you. Actually, when I was in Form 1, I decided myself I've come to school for education. So from Form 1, they called me a bookwormer. And I thank God that I delivered the books. So as the child is going to school, yes, they would want to feel, they want to fit in, but I want to tell them that they can fit in but not belong. You can be in that class, and they're doing everything, but you're in that class, do not belong to whatever they're conforming themselves into. So parent, what you need to tell your child is to grow thick skin. Because we have come to this school as an individual.
Sure.
Your parents have sacrificed to bring you in here. You don't know where these others are coming from. Unfortunately, the Englishman tells us that one rotten potato can make the whole sack. So you have to make sure very fast that you get connected to your teachers. Because even if everybody else is rotten, I'd want to imagine the teacher is not rotten. And again, 100 of you cannot be rotten. So even as you get integrated into the system, do not rush. Because if you rush, you're going to crash. Go and have everybody as your friend. Okay? But do not specialize on one until you have known what their character is. The Bible that I'm holding today, it's an English one. Kiswahili says, mkamate sana elimu, usimwache aende zake, maana yeye ni uhai wako. So even as I call you bookworm, as I called me, you have an appointment with your destiny. It is you. Actually today, we are going to enroll very many people in Form 1. They may carry all through to Form 4, but after Form 4, they may never meet. So parents, what you need to do is empower our child, our children, to be able to see themselves as an influencer, not to be influenced. Yeah, true. They can be a leader, not always to be led, so that they can be able to protect and guard their destiny. Sure. I said they want to be shaped and sharpened. To sharpen anything, there's some effort. To be shaped also, you have to toe in the line. The sooner we help the Form 1 settle, the better. However, even those Form 1s that are coming in, they're not very innocent. In that excitement of I did KCP, I passed, and the boys, they went through circumcision. They are feeling now we have arrived. So parents, you have to tell these children they are just still babies. They are just 14 years old. So what you need to do as a parent, apply what I call DED. Discuss a lot. Even as you queue there, discuss a lot. Some have an attitude of, now I'm coming from a private school where the matron used to do everything, including making my bed. Now I have come in a national school where there are so many children, the attitude is still following them. So discuss and tell them, now this is not primary school anymore. This is a national school. You have even to literally look for your grades. Because some of the private primary schools that we have, they are so few in numbers. So we are spoon-fed. Now here they have to literally look for their grade. Then you have to explain. You have to explain that even in this school, clothes get stolen. Even when you have written your admission number, even the innerwear, they get stolen. So you have to explain to them how to survive in this school. Of course, now discipline. You have to tell them without discipline, even the grades are going to be affected. And unfortunately, what we choose in life chooses us. So if we choose the wrong friends, if we choose to start on the wrong footing, that is going to choose us. Yes.
You've mentioned something very key that maybe I would want to emphasize on, about being informed about also how to take care of yourselves and your property.
Yes.
I remember there was an incident of a student who used to, every term, the parent had to shop as if he's being admitted anew. He has lost everything. Everything of his has been stolen. And every term they have to buy, including uniform. At times, even the shoes could be stolen. He has to go back home with slippers. And you wonder, you've said they are written admission. They are all this. I'm now trying to look, lately I'm seeing even for my daughter, for the sweaters, they are embroidered with the number. If you steal, and I come home with this stolen sweater, because for a uniform, it's not like a book you'll say, I'll go to sell it, then mom doesn't have to know. This is uniform. You can't sell to another school because it's only our uniform. From where do they wear? Because again, if you've stolen my sweater, I'm not seeing you wearing it. Because if I see, and also if the teacher got to see it, then they'll know. Because I assume if it is stolen, I have reported. Now, for this student who has stolen it, where do they take it? And if they go with it at home, do they go to remove the embroidery and redo it again with their own admission number? Because I'm trying to look now from the parent perspective. What do we need to tell our children about taking other people's belonging? Because if we do not talk about it, then we are bringing up thieves in the society.
In every school, even today when they're getting admitted, if the parents would apply the eyes, I normally say eyes that are hearing, they will see a sweater that is being used as a rag. They'll see even something they will see. And this sweater is not for the people that exited. So as we admit into Form 1, there are those that are casual about their wear, the clothes. They will hang them there, but they will not remember to keep a keen eye. There are those others are deliberately, let's say in school, they don't wash clothes, but they will know and wear a washed one. So here, as I said earlier, survival. And the children do not steal to bring them home. They steal to wear them. And this generation, by the way, they are not fragile, but they are also very manipulative. They know how to manipulate that. You can imagine a scenario where we have 100 students. The teacher will not even know that the admin number is not yours. So it is for you to protect your property while you're in school. It is for you to know, I don't have to wash my sweater every day. It is for you to know that when you remove your shoes, they can be stolen. However, now that we are taking them for admission, as we broadcast this program, parents, let it be practical. That anything that you're going to discuss today, we can analyze it as ACT Act, apply. So that you tell your child, even the slippers, when you're going to the shower room and you come back with them, put them on a carrier case, put them in the box and lock it up. Then see, they have to change. If at home your son is a son that throws everything all over, don't expect them to transform, which is the T. You have to tell him, bury that. And it is good, at least that one whose shoes were stolen every time, he never stole. So we have to tell our children that even taking anybody's else sweater because yours has been taken, this is a bad thing that you're inheriting. And you know, you cannot inherit something and want to stop it at one time. So we have to tell them it is not taking, it is theft. And I love schools that have very tough policies. Those schools, like one girl's school, I know, if you're caught wearing something that is not yours, you will pay 10 of what you're caught wearing. Unfortunately, it's the parent that suffers because the parent is the one that is going to buy. So even as we try to protect the children from losing them, we have to help the children know how to manage with what they have. Let the child feel the pain of having lost their property in school. Yes.
I want us to take a break, and when we come back after the break, I want to look at you mentioned about few private school and students being spoon-fed in primary. Now in high school, you've mentioned they have to fetch for their grades. This is something that to me, it was a culture shock. I don't know, when I was going to Form 1, I don't know, was I ready or not ready? I don't know how to put it. But I remember when I went to Form 1, and when it comes to an opener exam, we are not doing a BCD. It's state and explain, and I'm like, what am I stating and what am I explaining? Not that I've not been in class, but I've not been taught to state and explain. I only read. I know the answer to choose from A, B, C, D. Now, for those students who are, I understand this time we have to prepare the students. Now, what and how are they prepared in primary school, and when? In terms of school, is it every school? Because now, talking for myself, the school that I was in back then, we were not taught that. We were brought for people for career, yes, but career has nothing to do with Form 1. Career has nothing to do with science being split to 3, to biology, chemistry, and physics. I only know science, generally. Now I have to now master this one as a subject, this one as a subject, because from 6 subjects to 12 subjects, and I have to cram like everything or to understand everything, because the exams comes for the different 12 subjects. So when we come back after the break, that is what I would want us to look at. Now, after we've embrace the societal part of it. Now it's education and the culture shock. Viewer, I hope you're listening and learning so much like I am today. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
In the Bible, it says Jesus, he died on the cross for our sins. It is recorded, right? And she realized right away, oh, Jesus, he will work. And she told the servants, whatever he saith unto you, do accordingly. Do it exactly as he says. Do you understand? Whatever he says to you, do exactly as he says. We will be criticized, we will be chastised. But what did Mary say? Mary said, whatever he saith unto you, do accordingly. And the master of the feast said, most people, they bring out the good wine, and once people are drunk, then they bring out the bad wine.
The moment we receive the word of God in our heart, from that moment, God starts working in our life. So the four lepers, they did not have hope. In fact, when you see them, they were so weak, and God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. So when you see from the Bible, Jesus, he became their hope, and Jesus can become our hope when we have no hope.
We cannot pay the price of forgiveness of sin. That's why God wanted to give us. Remember, grace has to be free of charge. If there is a price, it's not a grace anymore. People say, oh, I did this and I received grace. I did this and received grace. That is not grace if you have paid the price. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus.
Everywhere, GBS.
We cannot pay the price of forgiveness of sin. That's why God wanted to give us. Remember, grace has to be free of charge. If there is a price, it's not a grace anymore. People say, oh, I did this and I received grace. I did this and received grace. That is not grace if you have paid the price. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer, to Chungu cha JAMII. Today we are talking about after Form 1 selection. What next? Before we went on a break, we were talking about the things we need to teach our children, what to look out for in school, the peer pressures, the new friends, not to be in a rush to conform to the things that are happening around, but they should take time to learn before bad things happen to them, but they also be cautious of everything. We have another guest who have joined us. I will allow him to introduce himself as we continue. Welcome, guest.
Thank you very much, Eunice. My name is Benjamin. I'm a mind education specialist.
Welcome on the show, Mr. Benjamin.
Thank you.
So before we went on a break, I had asked a question to Madam Catherine about We have finished primary. Primary, we know it's A, B, C, D. High school, we have 12 subjects. Some have even more subjects, depending with the school. And in high school, there is no A, B, C, D. Only 1 or 2 questions has A, B, C, D. So the other is state, explain. To my surprise, in primary, I could do math formula and give an answer. The answer was the ultimate deal. In high school, the formula is the ultimate deal. Answer has only a mark or a half mark. If you do the wrong formula, you get it all wrong. You thought you're smart, you find yourself you're I don't know how to call it. Coming to you.
Good. The good thing is that as we go into Form 1, all of us start at the same level. Even the one that had the highest and this one that has the least. And because of the 100% transition, we all find space into Form 1. However, teachers are professionals. Teachers are educated. Let me take you not to Form 1, but the first day a child goes into school.
Sure.
A child goes into school, they are in Pampers, they don't know what to do, but the teacher is able to organize them so much until they are able to do what they should do. So here we are at Form 1 and we are all starting at the same time. So the teachers will take a time to introduce us to our subjects. So the sooner we know that it is no longer ABC, the better for us. And when we did our KCP, we forgot to tell the children that, hey, high school is different. But the good thing is the teachers are waiting to impact on these children. Remember earlier I had said 2 things, sharpen and shape. So the teacher is now going to shape this child, not to imagine it is a forest they have come into, but a new level of education, where they are not going to ever see ABC again, but they are going to understand. A child's mind is very flexible. They are able to adapt very fast. And not only to adapt very fast, they can also adjust. So that is why we want to tell them about the hot talk I had said earlier, so they don't have anything much clogging their minds other than the new system of education that is being introduced into themselves. Yes.
Coming to you, Mr. Benjamin. As a mind education specialist, as the students are integrating to high school, what do you talk to the students now so that they are more prepared in terms of now everything that they should expect?
For me, I think we need to think about where the problem originates from. And most of the students, when they are in primary school, most of the parents, they just take their kids to school, not only to study, but it's like they're trying to avoid, they're trying to kind of, that responsibility, that care between the father and the kid and the mother and their child, this is not there anymore. And because of this, you realize that most of the students, when they are in primary school, they are isolated. And their hearts become very weak. That's why, and it's very different because when they're in primary school, they went there. They have been there for 7 or 8 years together. So it's like a family. But now when they're going to the high school, they're meeting with different people, new environment, everything is new. That's why in high school, for me, I've been able to take 2. And I know the hardship that is there, especially the first term and the second term in Form 1, it's not that easy for them. But mostly, it's very difficult for them that have a very weak heart. How do they gain a weak heart? Because their parents neglected them. They never got that chance to discuss with their parents. They never got that chance to talk to their parents. Parents are just there. And even when they come back from school during the vacation, the parents have no time. And then they would try to give them whatever they want to avoid that, that close relationship with the kids. And out of these, I have realized that most of the students become very isolated. Number 2, they get themselves getting into drugs. Why are they getting into drugs? They never got a chance that their parents, you know, for me, I went to high school. For my friend here, she also went to school, you went to school. So we have that, even though there might be that generation gap between us and the kids, you know, we have that experience that we have in high school, and we know what happens in high school. But mostly we do not have the chance to sit down and then we have a discussion with our kids. That's why when they go to school, for example, maybe I brought my kids very well. I brought up my kids very well. But now when they go back to school, when they go to school, they will meet with a person who doesn't care. You know, they never saw their fathers. They never sat down with their parents to discuss anything. They only know they live with their house managers. That is the only thing that they know. So when they go there, my child will get confused whether the life that we have been living together is the right way of living, or the one that the other child is talking about is the right way of living. So because of this, there is a lot of confusion. But still as well, when they come back home during the vacation, the parents are not there to speak about anything. They're just there. So they wait for 1 month and they go back to school with the same kind of mind. And then later you hear the parents complaining about their kids getting involved into drugs, or even sometimes they talk about their kids getting into groups that are not worth. You know, one time I had a chance to discuss with some students, and then one of them came and opened his heart to me, and he said like this: when he went to school, he did not know anything about drugs, but he met a certain group, and that group was pushing him to get into drugs and threatening. And then because of that, he went into drugs. He started to do marijuana. And then after some time, now he was getting recruited to gazing. But then he said, I cannot go back to that school. Now the parents, because they don't know anything, they wanted to fight with him. They were telling him he's foolish, he doesn't go back to school, he doesn't want to study. If he cannot go back to school, they cannot live with him anymore. So because of this, you know, sometimes we also push and make our kids to get into things that they don't want to get into. But because of the pressure that comes from the parents and the peer pressure also, teachers are so pushing them. I'm sorry, many parents, they have this kind of a mindset that once they take their kids to school, the teachers will teach them about how to live, the way to live. But I'm telling you the truth, teachers have only one mandate to do: to teach the students the subjects that they know. They have no chance to tell them, this is how you should live, this is how but all parents have this kind of a mind. When I take my child to school, he learns many things, even how to live, which is absolutely wrong.
What you've just said has got me thinking. I have like 3 things I'd want to bring across. We have said the curriculum, Madam Catherine, you've mentioned that the teachers are ready and well equipped. We have the genuine teachers that are here ready for the students. And you have the malicious teachers who are also there waiting to feast on the children in different ways, because we also have those cases in school, especially in boarding school and also in day school. It's inevitable. So for those teachers who are malicious in terms of character, as a student, as teachers, how are we able to tell and to pick these characters before it is too late? That is my first concern. My other one, I would want you to take it as a cluster, is what Mr. Benjamin has just mentioned about parents expecting so much from the teachers. I've brought my son, my daughter to school. The rest is up to the teacher. To shape and to sharpen is good, but when it comes to character and everything. And something that also, when I was interacting with students preparing for this, and also parents, you hear students saying, parents don't listen to us. I also have my son who is only 5 protesting, saying, grown-ups don't listen to babies. That's his way of protesting. But when you listen to him, my question now comes in, like he has mentioned, the boy who said got into drugs because of influence of the peer influence, wrong one and being threatened. So for him, I believe he adjusted to it because of the threat, not necessarily the pressure, but the threat. What are you being threatened to be done to? That you are afraid of that act, that you'd rather go for that instead of this repercussion. And parents who like now, he has said they don't want to go to that school. And the parents are, we are going to, you're like an outcast to us. Where are we going wrong as parents? And for the parents, where do we draw now the thin line so that by the end of the day, we salvage our children with the correct information and also not get manipulated? Because as I mentioned, my son says, grown-ups don't listen to. For him, at times the protests are right, at times the protests are manipulative. He wants to get his own way. Also for the students, now the Form 1 students, they're also very cunning. How do we draw a thin line now for the parent to know, this one is the serious case, I can't take it lightly. Okay, I'm transferring you, but who is the other student who is going through the same thing that my son and daughter is going through?
Good. Now, the question to you parents is, now that we had a long holiday, how did we invest in our children? Did we just make merry? Did we just shake the leg, visit places, and we never invested in them? We never listened to them. If I remember the last show I did here, I talked about the word talk, and I said we need to learn and listen to these children. However, now that we are here, the 11th hour can still save somebody. Parents, what you need to do is make sure that you're so close now. Not only close as a parent, you have to be a friend to this child. You have to ask rhetorical questions. And again, now that they have come into a boarding space, if they were coming from a day school, it's not only packing them and taking them to boarding school. You have to tell them, you have to assure them that in case you're not comfortable, please reach out. And comfortability is not eating a 3-course meal. It is those weird things. And now we are not in that generation of speaking about those weird things. We have to say as it is. If the Bible talks about alcohol is for the people that are perishing, then I don't see why we should not talk to our children about marijuana. If the Bible says that homosexuality is an abomination, I don't know why we should not talk to that. So even as this 11th hour, 3 things we need to give our children as parents: information, facts, and warning. However, because now we are going to leave them in the boarding school and we have to come back home, we have to take advantage of being available. When the school calls us for a meeting, parents be the number one to go. It is so disheartening that most parents want to go the last minute into the school meeting because they just want to share a meal, not forgetting that they have to share the life of their child together. There are so many challenges that we are going through. It is very heartbreaking to hear about that teacher who is malicious, wicked, Shidoi. And I have testimonies of girls that have been lured into lesbianism by the teacher. Unfortunately, you teacher that is listening to me now, you the good one. If you know and you're sensing that Mr. Benjamin is a wicked teacher, he is in gay movement, and you're not telling others, you're not any better than him. The word is disappearing in English. Where I come from, we say the onlooker, okay, the accomplisher. The accomplisher and the one who sees them do it, you're the same equal. So teacher, if you know that you have a teacher who is not straight, you may not be able to say it to him that is not straight, but do not keep quiet. Because what you're covering now, what you allow will grow. You may think that you're covering only for one teacher, but is recruiting other teachers. So we have to look at this child that has come to us as our responsibility? Would you want your child to be recruited into this madness by a teacher? And then I want to say this. A child, you have a right to say no. You have a right to report. You have a right to protest. We normally see them saying, haki yangu. So don't just go and cause commotion in school, but just come out and say. And I love the law in Kenya today. If a teacher is caught having a relationship with a girl, this teacher will go into jail. But again, the law can only take place if we report. And the children are scared of a teacher and even the parent. But it's a third leg that can help the child, a mentor. So parents, talk to your children, empower them not only to sit and be taught, but empower them to shut anything that is offensive to them, so that now they can be able to defend their life.
Mr. Benjamin, I'd want to hear your view and also add on what Madam Catherine has mentioned, that covering your partner, you're not better than them. Now, for this student who is, we have said they have a right to report and to protest.
Yes.
If this teacher is malicious, they are also threatening, right? And also the threat that comes with, and also the teacher protecting their own. We have had such cases whereby you report, but no one, we also have those cases at home, whereby I come to you as my mother, daddy is doing ABCD, brother is doing ABCD, but you tend not to listen to me, thinking that I'm either corny, I'm lying, or I'm making things up. How now do you have reported, but no action has been made? If I make protest, the principal chases me away from school because I'm influencing others to protest. To where are we supposed to be listened to deeply so that actions are taken early and we are all savaged? Mr. Benjamin, that is what I would want us to talk about when we come back after the break. Viewer, we are going for a short break. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
Are you all happy to see me? Yes, I'm also very happy to see you. We're going to make, ta-da, a banana milk package. Now we're done with the banana milk package.
We are all human beings, created as social animals.
And some of them are depression, and Mr. Elijah would agree with me, it is common because he has covered a broad group of people.
Your organization, is it a place like the home of the elderly, or it's an organization where they just come in, talk, socialize, make friends, because even them want to make friends?
It's a daycare center where they come every day. How do we gift our older people? How do we surprise them?
How the government should come in, and Mr. Jack wanted to support on the same.
Yes, taken to Sunday schools, and we were taught of
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer, to Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking after Form 1 selection. What next? There is a lot of things to prepare, a lot of things to watch out for, a lot of things to look out for both parents, the teachers, and the students. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. So before we went on a break, we had asked a question. I wanted to get your view, Mr. Benjamin, and also adding to that, we are talking about, Madam Catherine had mentioned about student protesting and reporting. In this case, what if this student is afraid and also being threatened, and whoever is reporting to is not taking any action?
Let's talk about the world of the heart. And when we talk about the world of the heart, there is something that we have to think about deeply, because if we have to talk about the world of the heart, we have to talk about the Bible. And in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9, it talks about the world of the heart. And then it says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? That's a question. And then the Lord answers and says, I, the Lord, search the hearts, I try the reins, to give every man according to the fruit of his doings. Which means the world of the heart is something that we cannot tell. We are not talking about the organ that pumps our blood. We are talking about the inner person. And you know, many people, they complain about this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem. But the origin of these problems is the world of the heart, which is unseen. You know, Madam Catherine spoke about these kids or the students needs to be open. Mm-hmm. But there is a way that the heart has to flow. Mm-hmm. And for the heart to flow, there are few things that the heart needs. Mm-hmm. One of them is openness, mm-hmm. trust, and honesty. Mm-hmm. You know, many people, I'm not sure whether most of the parents have created that environment that their kids can be open to them. When we go back to the teachers, I'm not very sure whether the teachers have created that environment where the students can be open to them. Even among the students themselves, I'm not very sure whether they have created that kind of an environment where the students, where they can be able to open their hearts together to one another. One of the things, most of the parents, they know one thing, and they're always talking about one thing. You know, even the Bible, even drunkards would say that. The Bible says you have to obey your parents. Yes, it's true, they have to obey them. But it's not only that part of obey your parents, there is the part that speaks about fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath. Which means for that environment to be created that we can open our hearts one to another, we have to understand the world of the heart. And the world of the heart was corrupted, it did not become corrupt because of anything that you have to do. It became corrupt from the origin of where we came from. So from that origin, that is the beginning of problems of mankind. Now, when many people do not know about that, you know, Eunice, let me tell you one thing. The heart is like a vessel. You put soup in a cup, then it becomes a cup of soup. You put tea in a cup, it becomes a cup of tea. You put coffee in a cup, it becomes a cup of coffee. Sure. So depending on what you put in your heart, depending on what is instilled in your heart, you don't expect any other thing. If in the family there is no openness, there is no honesty, there is no trust between the parents and the children, you should not be expecting them when they go back to school, now you expect them to change. How do they change? Because this is what was instilled in their heart while they were at home. And then I was thinking continuously about the world of the heart. It needs love. It needs love. And then, you know, the Bible talks about love covers a multitude of sins, or even charity covers a multitude of sins. You know, I'm telling you the truth because the way we were created by God, we were created in a way that the heart must flow. And you know, for the heart to flow, we need love. You know, most of the families, do they really have love? Between the parents and the kids, between the teachers and the students, between the students themselves, do they have love? And then you realize that because once people are isolated, then the reason why people even commit suicide is they don't commit suicide because they are isolated. It's simply because they became isolated because they couldn't feel any love. Because if I feel love from the people surrounding me, then definitely I'll open my heart. There will be trust between me and the people around me. But now the problem is, in the heart of man, we forgot about where we came from. And you know, let's say for example, even for the person who decided to write the Bible, they had a blueprint. How should the Bible be looking? How do we put it? How should the cover be? So they had to sit down and write somewhere. The person who made a camera, like the ones that we are using now, they had to sit down and write down on paper what exactly they want to make, they want to manufacture. Even the person who made this pot, he had to sit down and think and write what material and everything that they are going to use. So for the heart of man, the manual that we have is the Bible. But how many people sit down with their parents and talk about the Bible? How many teachers sit down with the students and think about the Bible to know exactly where their problems are originating from? Because I'm very sure there is nothing that happens in this world that is not in the Bible. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that we need to do, we need to go back to the Bible. Mm-hmm. And then we need to study, we need to teach our kids how to know the origin of their problems. And the solution of their problems is in the Bible. I'm so happy because Madam Catherine came with a Bible. Mm-hmm. And even it's open in Proverbs chapter 3. And then it says, acknowledge the Lord in all your ways and he will direct your paths. Mm-hmm. So if you don't acknowledge the Lord, then it's very funny. I'm expecting you to do something for me, but I'm not acknowledging you. Then how do you expect that kind of a person to work for you or to help you? Mm-hmm. So people are expecting from God, but they don't acknowledge him. Mm-hmm. Isn't it? Sure. You go to school, you hear the teachers stand and then they say, you people, you need to know God. But the problem is, they are expecting from God who they don't know. They are expecting from God who they have ignored. They are expecting from God who they have already left. And because of that, then problems must be there. I'm so happy because there are some schools which have that spiritual foundation, mm-hmm. that Christian foundation in them. Mm-hmm. Actually, such schools, there are some schools which when you go there and then you talk about the Bible, you'll be chased.
Having talked about everything that you've talked during this hour, because you're looking at these students and parents and teachers, there's one thing that we were supposed to mention at the very first that we did not mention. It just came through my mind. Grades. A lot of things happens when the results are out. You passed, you failed, according to yourself and according to society. That comes with pressure. And the school, the one we are talking, after Form 1 selection, what next? I either did not perform well as expected, so definitely I'm not going to go to the school that I picked. If I picked school A, which is a national school, and my grade B, which are not allowed in that school, then, and also the pressure that comes that we also see students, not sure if this time we had cases to do with the suicidal cases, but we have those things that drive the students to depression. As we wind up, what are we supposed to tell these students that about when it comes to grading and also the society? Why do we look out for the numbers so much that we forget that they're just numbers? But what is inside this student, it's what values most.
When I look at the exam of the exam body, the examiner body of Kenya, I see a bottleneck. They want to make sure that a few of us have passed. And with the grades, what happens is some are celebrating, others are still celebrated, or they are celebrating now. Others are in tears that can tear them away. Others are in denial. The sooner we allow our children to accept whatever result they have is mine, and we run up with it, the better for us. Life is more by the grace of God than the grades. But now the ones for the Form 1s are into Form 1s are better than the Form 4s. Because the grades that you have gotten for Form 1 will definitely take you into Form 1, the ones that we got in Class 8, because that is how it is. It's 100%. However, all of us, including the one who got 4 whatever and 50, we are starting at the same level. Let me talk from my own passion live. When I went into Form 1, very many years back, in 1983, I don't know where you were. Our times, the highest you could get was 36 points. I got 27 points. My immediate desk mate had gotten 32, now in Form 1. And my class prefect then had 36 out of 36. These two girls came with an attitude of, I know it all. I said they were calling me a bookwormer because I knew I did not know it all. So parents, whatever grades your child have gotten, they have brought them into Form 1. Encourage them. Even that water is very much usable. Encourage them to be open to be taught. Encourage them to move from good to go to better to go to best. I did my Form 4 and these 32 and 36 niliwapita kabisa katikati kabisa nikiendanga.
So give your parting shot.
Fine. Encourage them to be good to go to better as they become best. Best is an acronym. Be excellent, skillful, and teachable. And that will take us to the top.
Be excellent,
skillful
and teachable. And to you, Mr. Benjamin, your parting shots.
For me, I would say like this. For these students, they have to understand the word of their heart. And number one, yes, of course, they want to be wise. But according to what I know, wisdom is to know your shortcomings. Because the moment you know that you are lacking in this part, you have shortcomings in this part, then your ears open to learn. And more so, I would want to say like this. I was listening to one of the writers, and then he said like this, you know, wise people, fools think that they know, but wise men, they know they are fools. That is the reason why they are ever learning. This is William Shakespeare. He said like this, fools think they know, but wise men know that they are fools. That's why they keep on learning. People who think that they know, they never learn. So for students to be the best students, they need to keep on learning, isn't it?
Yes.
So my word to them is that they should keep on learning.
You should keep on learning. Thank you for staying tuned throughout this hour. Let's continue this conversation online across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Till next time, have a nice time. Goodbye.
Everywhere, GBS.